Welcome back, everybody. We got something a little bit different today. So I had a couple Flex S. In fact, not this one, but the other one was actually one of the new Flex S Darks. So I've been testing that. I'll have some results on that here shortly in the future. But yeah, so Bear got to this one, got to the other one. The other one was lucky enough to not sustain any real damage. This one, however, got maybe a bite mark or a claw mark there. And then the Fresnel lens is all messed up. So we're going to take this thing apart. We're going to replace that Fresnel lens, and we're going to make sure no other damage was done. Now, as I've had other cameras fail, these other Flex that have failed out in the field, they get replaced. I keep the old ones. They aren't returning these regular Flex anymore. So if you have one of these that fails, they tell you to just hold on to it and recycle it or throw it away. Do whatever you see fit with it. Well, what I see fit with it is to keep it around just in case I need it. So you can see I've actually pulled out the Fresnel lens on this one, as well as the backing piece. And we're going to go ahead and get that swapped out today. And hopefully it should be back up, good to go. We'll get it redeployed. So let's get into this. So before we get started, you're going to need a PH1 Phillips head. You can use a regular one. I have this little electric screwdriver. This works really well. On the Flex Plus, you need a really long one of these. That's why I bought this. On this S, most of them you can get at them with a regular glasses screwdriver that you can pick up pretty much anywhere. But you need to make sure it's the correct size, because these will strip fairly easily if you put the wrong size Phillips bit in there. So this is a PH1. This is the one that I found works. If anybody, maybe you work at Spypoint, you know the exact size, go ahead and let me know down below. But this is the one I found has never stripped out any of these screws when I back them out or put them in. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. So the first 4 screws to remove are right here on the backing for the solar panel. We'll go ahead and pull those out now. So one thing to note here, these are the ones that go with the solar panel. I hope that's coming through here. Let me make sure. You can see they have a little O-ring on them. So make sure you don't cut that O-ring. Make sure that these ones with the O-ring go back in the panel here. I'm going to remove the antenna. So I have an 8mm here, hex head. That'll pop right on here. And it should just be finger tight. As we go, everything's going in here. So don't want to lose anything. So now that we have it apart, you'll see there's 2 screws right here. We're going to go ahead and pull those off. But before we do that, we're going to have to remove this plug up out of here. Let's see, make sure it's coming through right here, this one. So we've got to remove this, pull this out so that we can take this top unit off here, take this sub-assembly, move it out of the way. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. We don't want to just pull on the wires. We want to try to ease it up by the actual connector. Make sure that's coming through. Okay. So we're going to do that just by putting a small screwdriver in here, going back and forth real easy. There we go. So now I can pull this out. Everything should come right off. So now that we have those 2 out, these 2 here also hold this top unit on. We're going to take those off. Now we can gently push this back down through the connector from the camera to the solar panel, and it's off. And now you'll see this is what we're going to need to get access to. So that's why we had to take the solar portion off of it. So we'll go ahead and remove You'll see there'll be 6 of them. We got to open this up to expose this last one, but it'll give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now that we've got this separated, you need to take a pick, small screwdriver, something like that, put it down in here, and remove the gasket. Now, it's ready to be taken apart. So let's go ahead, ease it apart. Now, one thing, the face here helps hold the latch, the bottom, in place. Take that, put it to the side. Otherwise, what's going to happen, you're going to go in and you're going to break this, or you're going to break this part here. So take that, take the door, move it out of the way, and then flip it back over. So we're going to flip it out this way. And now we have access to all of the internal components. So one thing I'm going to do first, all these little screws that didn't come through, that I just loosened, I'm going to pop them out so I don't lose them. Okay, as I suspected, the backer here is broken. So even if I got a Fresnel lens replacement straight from Spypoint, I wouldn't be able to put this thing back together. So luckily I have some scrap flex laying around, and I'll go ahead and we'll take the backer off. We'll put the new Fresnel lens in there, and we'll put the new backer plate on, and everything should be good. All right, now I can see there's a bit of damage here where the bear stuck his claw in there. What I'm going to do before I put this Fresnel lens on, I'm just going to go ahead and lay a bead of silicone all around this whole thing, just a real fine one. And then when we put the lens in, that should help keep any moisture out that might have otherwise made its way in. So I'm going to go get that now, and I'll be back. All right, we got it all put back together here. We got the Fresnel lens, so I'm gonna come on this side, make sure it looks good. You got a little bit of silicone there leaking out around the edges, so that's good. I'll go ahead and clean that up, and we'll put it back together. So if you're worried that that silicone is going to affect its ability to take a picture, the thing to look at here is if you look at the back of this, make sure it focuses on it. You'll see these little spots here. There's actually 5 of them. Now what that tells me is there's 5 detection zones on these cameras. So typically what happens is an animal will walk into that first detection zone on there. Let's see if I can. And then when it walks into the second one, that's when it knows to trip. So those are right dead center though. So anything around the edges isn't going to affect this detection. It's kind of right there across the middle from about there to there where the detection occurs. So we're going to go ahead and put this back together. A few things to remember as we go here. We're going to slide this side in first, the right side. And then we got to remember, we got to get our door back on there. I put them back together before, forgot to put the door on there. You got to take it all back apart. Oh. One last thing I remembered I wanted to check. I said that bear put a claw through it, and it actually did crack through to the other side here. So we're going to have to address that now. You can do the same thing, use a little silicone in there, make sure it looks nice and gooped on there, and that should help make sure no moisture gets in that way. Now, one last thing you have to make sure you do when you put these back together. Well, I guess two things. First, let's make sure that the gasket on the body here looks good, which it does. Okay, so everything's good there. Now, when we start to put this back together, we got to make sure that lines up there. But just as importantly, make sure your camera, the switch here, is in the off position. If I go and put it on the on position, I'll put it all back together, and then I'll go and try to move it back over to the off position, and it'll be completely stuck. I'll have to loosen back out all the screws, pull the face up, switch it to off, and then screw everything back in again. So make sure it's in the off position, and we'll go ahead, make sure everything looks good. Yep, switch is good. Everything's ready to go. Time to start putting it back together. So before I do that, I wanted to show the 3 types of screws that are used so you can know where to put these back at. So the first one has the O-ring. That's real easy. That one goes in the solar panel. And then you'll see these two. They look awfully similar, but they're actually just a little bit different. So this is the one that went down in and held the top unit onto the camera. You can tell because it has a little bit of what looks to be glue or sealant on it. And then this is pretty much the same one, but doesn't have any of that sealant on it. That's how you know that's just one of the main camera body screws. So we just got that last one to put in there. And we can screw this thing back home. So one last check to make sure it's in the off position. It is. So the camera is put back together. It's all good to go. Can make sure the battery still fits in there. Now, it doesn't have an antenna, so it's not going to get any reception, but we'll go ahead and fire it up, make sure it's working. Sure enough, good to go. Let's get the solar unit back on. So, very important now. Let's go ahead and so now that we know that's working, pretty important, let's go ahead and shut this back closed while we're working on it. And you'll notice, man, that didn't seem to do it. Like, why is it so floppy? Why does this not engage? We didn't put the gasket back on, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Let's take a look at it here. And what you'll notice, let me see if I can get this on camera. So what you'll notice is one side is completely flat. One side has an indent in it. The side with the indent goes up. The nice thing is the way this is built, there's really no way to put it on the wrong way. But it will save you a little time, right? So it goes on just like this. That's the front. You see, we'll get it lined up first. And then in the corners, we're going to go ahead and push it down. So around all the corners, get it pushed in. And now that the corners are in, we can push the middle down. So you might think, oh, I'm going to start on one side and just go around. But then you get to the end, and you have some slack that you've pushed and created. And then you end up with a poor seal. So make sure you get your corners in. And then go around, push the middles in. And then in the back spots here where you can't really get to it because of the door, I just like to take something here, usually this tweezers, push it all down in. I'm going to work any little high spots I might have created, work them out, work them back to the middle, so that we don't get any spots where the gasket's too thin. Now that we got that and it's pretty close, everything looks good, I'm going to go ahead and push this down in. I'm going to seat it a couple times, make sure it's able to seat, and we'll pull it out. Have a look here. So there we go. See that it's very well seated in all the spots. Nowhere does it look like the gasket's pushed in too far. Oh, I take that back. There is one spot right here where the gasket flipped. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's right here. So I'm going to go ahead, pull that gasket out, and reseat it. There we go. So now it's the correct way. I can go ahead, seat it back in there. Alright, so my GoPro just overheated again, but it is getting really hot, so it's not too surprising. Took the case off of it here. Hopefully that'll keep it cool. I'm going to try to finish this out here. But we got to get this back on. Got to get it plugged in. And as I was trying to say before it cut out, there's a little lip on this connector here. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look down in the body, you'll see that one side has a slot that goes into. So in this case, it's towards the top. So I'm gonna put this little, gotta put it through first, through the slot, plug it in. We're going to take these O-rings, make sure we run them all the way up to the top. Very careful. These things are very, very small, not particularly strong. So we're going to roll that up. We're going to moisten it, just a little saliva here, so that it can continue to spin as we tighten it down. We don't need to over-tighten these. Now when we have this thing open, you'll notice there's a little holder in the back of these. So as this thing spins around, it'll engage into that, and then it'll come tight. So now, like I said, when I opened it, it's about finger tight. Pretty good pressure though, because it does have a seal on the back of it. Make sure we put our little rubber grommet over there, and we'll put the antenna back on, and we will fire it up, see if we get service. There we go. There we go. 3 bars for being in the middle of my basement, where I, outside get 70% on my phone, 70% signal. That's not bad. So everything's ready to go. Looks like it's working. Battery's full. Only thing left to do now is to actually go out and deploy it.